Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz 2. The Return. The return of the legend is finally official. Nick Diaz is now finally ready for the comeback which he has been anticipating for years. Every die-hard MMA fan knows who Nick Diaz is and what he means to the whole MMA community. Being loved by almost every viewer of the sport, no one can deny that he is the people's favorite fighter. MMA fans are all delighted and anticipated to see their favorite Diaz brother back in action, since he left fighting in 2015 following a defeat to the Spider Anderson Silva. And what a fight for him to make a glorious return to the UFC octagon. Nate and Nick are known for their bloody fights, where the sport turns so cinematic, violent, and real, bringing the fights to their most core and warrior side and giving people the fight that they want. Fighting style. While the Diaz brothers are known for the bloodshed and bloody fights, boxing with an unorthodox style, they are also known for their unbelievable gas tanks. Being a southpaw fighter, he has much of a playing reference to that of Dustin Poirier from the lightweight division. Stand-up boxing style and an unorthodox combination, he does quite good on the grappling side too. Going all 5 rounds at full pace, getting aggressive like a zombie right after the blood starts spilling from their faces, both the Diaz brothers are undoubtedly beasts. Nick Diaz has been inactive in the sport for 6 years. The last time he fought, he was seen losing in no contest to the Spider Anderson Silva. Diaz also lost 2 more prior fights to GSP and Carlos Condit, making it almost a decade since he won a fight. Nick possesses a raw fighting style that is different from many fighters. Although it doesn't look unique or impressive, it helps him a lot. The most impressive side of his game is his boxing, and he can wrestle very well. He's very well rounded in all aspects of the game. Robbie Lawler, on the other hand, is much of an aggressive fighter. Being an expert in boxing and karate, Robbie Lawler's sparring partner is a southpaw, like Nick Diaz. Robbie Lawler possesses a very aggressive stance and fighting style, although he passed his prime long ago. It has been 6 years since he won a fight in the UFC. The last matchup that he won was against Rory McDonald in 2015, while he has been active in the sport in recent times. What is next? While the fight is the most hyped next upcoming fight, the trash talk hasn't happened yet and everyone is still in the line waiting for it. The schedule of the UFC 266 card has been postponed. The fight will be in the T-Mobile Arena, which was scheduled on the 25th of September before being delayed. This fight is an actual sequel to the previous fight that was fought in 2004, in which Nick Diaz KO'd Robbie Lawler in the 2nd minute of the 2nd round. Now here's the thing. Robbie Lawler is widely regarded as a very aggressive fighter in many ways, but he has no match to Nick Diaz because of the glittering career Diaz had, not even by a slight closure. The reason being that Diaz clashed against the fighters that were mostly in the top 10 of the welterweight division and won many of them. If we look up careers, Diaz is a legendary UFC fighter, although Lawler is pretty good too. On the card of UFC 266, it has been tagged as the main event. The hype is real, the fight is real. Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz 1. In the first fight of Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz, which started with an aggressive stance, and both the fighters were in the middle of the octagon for some time, Robbie Lawler approached for the face of Nick Diaz. The Stockton boy slammed him with a right hand. There were many significant moves from either of the fighters at the beginning of the first round. As the fight proceeded, Nick Diaz attempted jabs which caused him a few punches to the face in a combination. For some moments, the fight was dry, but Nick Diaz landed some significant punches on Lawler's face, which could have KO'd Lawler in the first round as he was seen getting unbalanced. The whole time during the fight, Nick Diaz was seen as the fearless fighter with his hands down most of the time. In the last moments of the round, Nick Diaz was seen concerning Lawler, but Lawler was seen countering Diaz with his fierce combination, leaving Diaz almost stunned. The first round was pretty tough to decide because of the reason that both the fighters at some moments were more dominant in the fight, but Nick Diaz won the first round with a fine line. The second round was a lot more violent than the first one, with a lot of combinations from both the fighters throughout the first minute. Robbie Lawler threw an amazing combination which was countered by Nick Diaz, even more amazingly, smashing his right jab right on the chin of Lawler and leaving him stunned. making him taste the mat of the octagon. Robbie Lawler was knocked out in a very funny yet unusual way. After the fight, there was no bad blood. Frustrated, Lawler was seen walking in the octagon, hugging and congratulating Nick Diaz for his unexpected and great win over one of the best fighters in the UFC at that time. The rise to legacy of Nick Diaz. It was unexpected for the audience, as 20-year-old Nick Diaz didn't go for a ground strategy, instead standing out and boxing with one of the best boxers in the UFC at that time. In the prequel fight, Lawler was also seen backing up a lot, which was quite unusual, and after a couple of losses in the next 2 years, he went on to win almost every fight, adding 18 wins to his name after the Lawler fight. Since then, every MMA fan is in love with Nick Diaz for his brave fighting style and unbelievable spirit in the ring, and the humbleness that Nick comes up with literally leaves no reason to hate this guy. A true UFC legend. The records. Both the fighters have good records, with Lawler having a record of 28-15 and 2 no contests, and Diaz has a legendary record of 26-9 and 1 no contest. While Diaz has also fought with one of the greatest of all time, Georges St-Pierre, but Lawler's worst defeat was against Ben Askren, which is still a very hilarious matchup to see. Lawler had quite an impressive career, despite his 15 defeats, in which most of them were those when Lawler managed to stand up just the next moment he was KO'd, which was hilarious in a way. Fight prediction. Now here's the twist. The fight will be more advantageous for Robbie Lawler, as Sean O'Malley stated that Lawler has been active in the sport in recent times, while it has been 6 years since Diaz fought anyone. While odds are against Diaz in every possible way due to his inactivity in training and the game. This will make a huge difference in the turnover of the fight, giving Lawler more of an advantage due to his activity. But no one can predict Nick Diaz's playstyle. He makes comebacks even after he seems to be dead in the octagon. So uncertainty is gonna be there, as time and again, both the Diaz brothers have proved how capable they are in that octagon, not just by giving people the fight they love, but also fighting like a warrior until their legs have blood running through their veins. And also, he had one of the toughest chins in the UFC, just like his younger brother Nate. Comment below, who do you think will win the fight? Whatever the way it goes, people are rushed up with emotions to see their favorite fighter fight after half a decade, which will bring the UFC a hefty payroll. You can see the smile on Dana's face already. Leaves us with no doubt that Nick Diaz's return, even for one fight, will get the sales high by a mile. No matter what way it goes, win or lose, Nick Diaz's return is enough to fill every MMA fan's heart with thrill and emotions. He's a legend in the eyes of people in every way. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to like the video and comment who is your favorite MMA fighter. We will be back with more exciting stuff next time. Till then, sayonara.